Hey everyone, it's Aurora back with the Vortex vlogs, and today I'm here at the North Campground here in Crestone, and as you can see behind me, this is a giant crystal mountain. So this is another aspect of the Vortex that has a lot of lore to it, and there are some theories that part of the reason why we experience the Vortex energy here is due to this giant crystal mountain. Now, most people say that this mountain is actually made up of crystal quartz, which I think is probably true, but I've also heard a lot of people speak about it being cryolite, and cryolite is another very interesting type of crystal. So whether it's quartz or whether it's cryolite, I think either way, you can feel the energy coming off this mountain. It is a very kind of sacred site here at the North Campground. People do come here for ceremony, for prayer, for meditation, and just down below from this hike is where they have the drum circles every full moon here in Crestone. So if in fact some of this mountain is cryolite, some of the kind of legends around cryolite are very interesting. So cryolite was first discovered in 1799, and it was discovered by a Danish chemist. And he said, although the appearance resembles quartz, it behaves very differently under heat. And so he described it as kind of an ice stone. And there's only a few places in the world that actually produce cryolite. Now, the main one is Greenland, and this is where it was first discovered. And the Inuit people used to use this stone as a high form of spiritual meditation. They felt that it unlocked spiritual gifts. And so basically, he had theorized that Greenland was the only place in the world that actually had cryolite, but it has now been discovered in, I think, 2 other locations. So in the Inuit legend, cryolite was so abundant that it did wash up on the shores, and they called it fallen snow or frozen light. Due to its high vibration, cryolite can be intense and may evoke strong emotional or spiritual responses. Cryolite is a powerful stone for emotional release, communication, spiritual insight, and transformation. It is especially suited for psychic growth and a deeper connection to higher realms. So that's my theory, is that that's another reason why people feel the intensity here in Crestone is likely due to all the other factors we've talked about, but one of them is this mountain. Now, another very interesting part about our mountains here are the minerals and the resources here that are quite unique. And so one of those is what's called shilajit. And shilajit does appear in many mountain ranges in the world, but not all of them. And there is kind of some debate as to how they find shilajit. Now, shilajit is a resin, and it usually takes anywhere of like 40 and upwards years to develop. And it's actually from decaying plant material. And so shilajit has all of the trace minerals that the body needs, and it kind of forms as this like tar type consistency. And there's a lot of mountain ranges in the world, like the Himalayas, also some mountain ranges in the Middle East that do harvest shilajit. It's a very ancient mineral used as a healing modality, and it also is here right in our mountain here in Crestone. So one of our sponsors of the Vortex Fest is Plasmana. They make shilajit tinctures. So instead of a resin form, it does come in a tincture form. But the great part about this is that the shilajit used in this process comes directly from this mountain. And so just a little bit about shilajit and how it's formed. So shilajit is one of the most mineral dense substances here on Earth, and one of the most revered across human history. It forms over millions of years from compressed plant matter under tectonic pressure, which is a slow alchemical process that concentrates 85 plus trace minerals, fulvic acid, and humic acid into a dense resin that will seep from high altitude rocks during the heat of summer. So like we are right now in the heat of summer, the shilajit resin is actively being compressed and kind of coming from the higher altitude peaks down onto the rocks. And this is just some history of shilajit as well, that every culture that has encountered this substance gave it a name that reflected its awe. In Sanskrit, it is shilajit, which means conqueror of mountains and destroyer of weakness. So Shila actually means rock, and jit means having won. There are also a lot of legends about shilajit. So one is in the Himalayan villages, they started to notice that monkeys were consuming this tar-like substance that was seeping from the mountain crevices during the summer. These monkeys appeared more vital, more energetic, and lived longer than those that did not consume it. Ancient healers investigated and began incorporating this into medicine. Now, there was a military commander who actually shot a gazelle on the hunt, and the animal escaped with the arrow still in its back. When found again days later in the mountains, the wound had healed. The animal was chewing something dark against the rocks. Once a year, the substance was set to the treasury of the ruler, and that substance was called mumuho. And so this is just different stories from different areas of the world, different histories, where they all discovered the kind of healing powers of shilajit. And so, to have this locally and to have this in our mountains, I think it just is another sign of the beauty of the vortex here. And in Ayurveda, ancient Ayurvedic practitioners classified shilajit by its properties, which it has gold, silver, copper, and iron. Those are also fortified into these droppers. And a lot of the kind of uses of shilajit are rejuvenation, anti-aging, improving mental clarity and vitality. It also is supposed to improve fertility and testosterone. It also increases muscular strength, reduces fatigue, treats iron deficiency, diabetes, and chronic fatigue, helps the body adapt to stress, reduce anxiety, etc. So there's lots of beautiful ways to kind of utilize the medicine. So for those of you coming to the Vortex Festival, Plasmana will be a vendor there. And so you can check out all their products. So thanks for watching, everybody. See you at the Vortex Fest.